It looked like it's happening. Angel Reese is asking out of Chicago already.
Angel Reese officially puts the Chicago Sky on notice. We're not doing the same thing this offseason that we did last offseason. Stop bringing me bums to play with.
Welcome in, friend. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss smart breakdowns that cut through noise. Today, we unpack how a headline quote, a locker room meeting, and the suspension turned Angel Reese's season into a referendum on leadership and fit, and why Caitlin Clark's model offers a stark counterpoint. We will move from the words to the film to the roster math, so you can judge the stakes yourself. Stay to the end for the big decision Chicago must make before free agency heats up. Let's lock in.
Stop bringing me these players. I want the best of the best. I want the upper echelon.
Angel Reese is fed up. She's tired of the losing. She's tired of being the gum on the bottom of the shoe of the league. She is fed up with the Chicago Sky, and it looks like Angel Reese wants out. It looks like she wants out.
The spark was a quote that sounded like a trade demand in disguise. Angel Reese told the Tribune she would not settle for the same we saw this year and insisted Chicago must attract good players and great players immediately. On its face, that sounds like ambitious leadership, but the cadence and timing landed like a public ultimatum rather than a collaborative plan. It implied replacing core pieces instead of developing with them, and it invited the league to judge her teammates before the offseason even began. When a statement redraws the roster in the press, coaches must soothe egos, veterans reassess buy-in, and young players wonder if they are placeholders. The delivery mattered as much as the demand, and here the delivery detonated first. Before any move could be made, the conversation shifted from strategy to loyalty, and that is a fight teams rarely win in public. Stay with me as we follow the blast radius.
It sounded like a brat trying to gut her roster on live record.
Let's see what Angel Reese had to say. I'm not settling for the same shit we did this year. Oh boy. Reese told the Tribune, we have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm willing and wanting to play with the best. And however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. So it's going to be very, very important this offseason to make sure we attract the best of the best, because we can't settle for what we have this year. Overhaul this roster.
The problem?
Teammates heard criticism, not a plan. Inside a pro locker room, public roster talk often reads like betrayal because it removes tone, context, and the chance to respond with dignity. Reports of a full team sit-down signaled that trust needed triage, and that alone shows how volatile the quote became once it left the interview desk. Leaders usually pair hard truths with care, delivering feedback in film rooms and huddles where confusion can be cleared and respect preserved. Here the conversation was outsourced to headlines, and headlines do not hug back. Young players started counting minutes, veterans guarded their legacies, and staff burned hours managing optics instead of matchups. Once teammates feel they're auditioning for their own star, rhythm suffers, communication shortens, and defense cracks. This is how a sentence becomes a slump even before the next tip, because trust is the first pass in any offense. Up next, the moment that truly stung the vets.
So it's that in multiple lead sources told Front Office Sports that the entire team has seen Angel Reese comments that teammates are unhappy with the direct attacks. A team meeting is planned at which players are expected to address Reese directly.
The Courtney Vandersloot line made everything sting. Brushing off a championship point guard, rehabbing an ACL sounded like dismissing a proven organizer who lifts teammates by controlling pace, angles, and touches. Vets across the league watch how you talk about one of their own. And a stray age riff can alienate exactly the leaders you need when games turn ugly. Culture flows through veterans who set standards in film, in practice, and in late clock execution. And Vandersloot has earned that respect with rings and receipts. When a rising face minimizes that currency, it feels like a withdrawal from the team's cultural bank. It's not about nostalgia. It's about ownership of moments that decide seasons. Undervalue that, and late-game trust evaporates. The message you send to free agents is louder than any graphic. Elders are expendable here. The subtext travels fast, and reputations travel fast. Watch how that echoes into the front office ledger.
We can't rely on Courtney to come back at that age that she's at, Reese said. I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we can't rely on that. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience, somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before. Courtney Vandersloot, by the way, 2-time WNBA champion, 5-time All-Star, 2-time All-WNBA first team, left the New York Liberty, a championship caliber team, to come help out the Chicago. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh, dang. Oh, damn. It's all right, Courtney. It's all right.
Front office sacrifices got buried under the noise. The Sky spent equity to import established help like Ariel Atkins, a two-way guard with a track record of solving problems on both ends. When management burns assets and space to support a young star, dismissing the outcome in public hits twice. It questions the plan and erases teammate effort. Roster building is a chain of trade-offs, and pushing for more while discounting what arrived undermines buy-in from those doing the gritty work. Executives need alignment to keep deals flowing. And agents listen for gratitude because gratitude predicts stability. If the message is that nothing is ever enough, the market adds a tax to every conversation. It also strains relationships with role players who sacrifice touches to accommodate the new arrivals. Because praise is the currency that keeps hard jobs attractive. That is the opposite of leverage when you're chasing upgrades. Next, the numbers that undercut the message.
It is looking spooky in Chicago. Instead, Reese said she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Berman or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading them to the leading the playoff team. Guard Ariel Atkins is another player on the Sky roster with WNBA championship experience. We are aware of it, Marsh stated. We are addressing it.
We need great players, and I don't know what that will attract that. Maybe the practice facility will attract that. We'll see. But I think the priority is being able to convince free agents that this is an organization that is going in the right direction. I think, honestly, it would be a leap of faith for a great player to come here and show that this is something that they want to be a part of, and we can bring that championship mentality. A leap of faith to think that a great player would want to come to Chicago. Oh, boy.
The numbers cut against the message. Points and rebounds headline highlight reels, but live ball turnovers and wasted trips decide tight games. And Reese piled giveaways at a rate too high for a primary option. Add quick tempers and technicals, and you trade touches for whistles and momentum for static. A leader's job is to stabilize pace, value the ball, and finish the bunnies that keep an offense humming. When that lapses, teammates press, spacing shrinks, and coaches burn timeouts to cauterize runs. Discipline is not a mood, it's a skill, and skills are trained every practice and validated every fourth quarter. If you want a louder voice in roster meetings, the math must sing. Fewer empty possessions, fewer self-inflicted stops, and smarter contact. Otherwise, the quote writes checks the film cannot cash, and opponents smell that shakiness, trapping harder and daring you to reset under pressure. Coming up, the suspension that turned criticism into consequences.
Hey, it's not all her fault. Her teammates stink. They gotta catch that, right? Right! Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Scooby, put down the butter. Butter pecan! Bang! This time of the year is the best. You got pumpkin spice, football, and Angel Reese layups. Bang! Final play of the game, Angel Reese, clutch Gene! Womp, womp, womp. That's my Barbie! Bang!
The suspension landed at the worst possible time. Reaching the technical threshold triggered an automatic one-game ban that erased the rivalry showcase many fans circled weeks in advance. Availability is the first leadership duty, and this absence was not rehab or rest, but a rule that activates only after repeated escalation. Intent can be debated, but outcomes shape seasons, and the outcome was simple. A marquee game without the face who had just demanded upgrades. That contradiction is hard to explain in a film session or a press scrum, because bans force coaches to rip up rotation plans, reshuffle usage, and place development minutes into high-heat scenarios. It gives critics a clean narrative. Talk was loud, presence was missing, and chemistry had to be rebuilt on the fly against a prepared opponent. The calendar remembers who is there when lights burn hottest, and so do front offices weighing future bets. Next, why the team sometimes looked freer without her.
But when you look closer, she's leading the entire WNBA in turnovers, despite missing several weeks of action with injury.
I'm Angel Reese gets her shot blocked inside of 9 feet. And 100% of the time, she's doggy doo-doo. Burn! Give it to the lady in orange. Uh-oh, you're out. Simon didn't say. 101 turnovers in 26 games for our 2K cover. She's a stat stuffer. Bang! At least she always brings the boom. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bang!
The suspension landed at the worst possible time. Reaching the technical threshold triggered an automatic one-game ban that erased the rivalry showcase many fans circled weeks in advance. Availability is the first leadership duty, and this absence was not rehab or rest, but a rule that activates only after repeated escalation. Intent can be debated, but outcomes shape seasons, and the outcome was simple. A marquee game without the face who had just demanded upgrades. That contradiction is hard to explain in a film session or a press scrum, because bans force coaches to rip up rotation plans, reshuffle usage, and place development minutes into high-heat scenarios. It gives critics a clean narrative. Talk was loud, presence was missing, and chemistry had to be rebuilt on the fly against a prepared opponent. The calendar remembers who is there when lights burn hottest, and so do front offices weighing future bets. Next, why the team sometimes looked freer without her.
Yet Reese hit that disciplinary threshold faster than any player should.
And watching the bottom of your screen. The contact by Reese.
You can see Angel's right hand got Aaliyah Edwards on the head. And if they do, Lisa, I'm okay with that too, because I think you have to officiate these teams very tightly.
Chicago's on-off paradox raised
Angel.
sharper questions. Rotations sometimes flowed better without Reese, with crisper ball movement, second-side actions, and fewer stalled touches. That is not a talent indictment. It is a fit problem, and fit is what converts skills into wins. Coaches need stable spacing naps and clear reads, so role players act without hesitation, and shooters can catch in rhythm. If the offense breathes when the star sits, you test usage, trim touches, rethread lineups, or you change the core. The metric that matters most is not any single box line, it's lineup efficiency, and tape filled with decisive cuts usually beats tape filled with heroic isolations. In a league of small margins, the right fit lifts everyone by 2 points a night, because smoother timing becomes free points and cleaner defensive balance becomes fast break fuel. That cumulative edge is how average teams sneak into playoff shape. Now watch the counterexample across a conference.
Edwards in the head on a rebound play. Whether you believe it was intentional or not, referees saw enough to call it, and the league had no choice but to enforce the suspension. That's not just a person.
Oh, damn. Has been assessed with 8 technical fouls, and she will be suspended for Friday game unless it is rescinded. And I'm telling you right now, look, he said it best, her attitude. That mug ain't getting rescinded. Angel Reese has struck out again.
Caitlin Clark presented the counterexample. Under relentless attention, she traveled with the team while hurt, stayed engaged on the bench, and on court stretched defenses with timing and vision that made Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Sophie Cunningham more dangerous. That is leadership by multiplication, not subtraction. Her interviews framed progress collectively, and she praised rivals when warranted, shrinking drama while expanding trust. The tape shows quick pitch-aheads, relocation threes, and skip passes that flatten weak side help. The kind of reads that turn good role players into great nights. When your star raises everyone's floor, veterans listen and free agents take meetings. Culture begins in habits, and Clark's habits sell themselves because availability, film study, and consistent poise turn into trust, and trust turns into late-game clarity when nerves spike. Next, how optics drive recruiting before offers do.
Now, how many players are going to listen to what Angel Reese had to say about Courtney Vandersloot? Are going to listen to what Angel Reese had to say about her current teammates? How many players are going to say, oh yeah, I want to play with that player who has no problem throwing me under the bus with 3 games to go? I want to play with that. Maybe not many.
The Indiana Fever destroy the Chicago Sky in Indianapolis on Saturday. Guess who wasn't there? Angel Reese. Angel Reese declined to travel to Indianapolis, and her coach came out and said something about, she's just focused on her rehab right now, and, she's day to day. We've never had an explanation on what caused the back injury, what's a time frame for her recovery. It's similar to so-and-so's back injury. This is something she struggled with here or there. All we've heard is day-to-day, and Angel Reese has disappeared.
Free agents and agents read culture before depth charts. When a face of the franchise questions teammates on record, it signals turbulence to the very players you hope to sign. Recruiting is a trust sale built on minutes, roles, and a believable path to May and June, reinforced by leaders who echo the same message privately and publicly. If headlines scream instability, you either overpay or watch targets ghost your calls. Conversely, a reputation for unselfish play and steady messaging becomes a magnet for vets chasing rings and real players seeking clarity. Optics are not fluff in a capped league, they are leverage. And leverage is the difference between landing the final spacer and settling for a redundant piece. The league is small, stories travel, and players compare notes fast in summer gyms, on group texts, and through shared agents, so a single careless quote can age into a reputation. Up next, the availability question that won't go away.
Yeah, I'm proud of this group. I think we've shown all season long, they're resilient, they're connected. They pull for each other. They enjoy one another. They celebrate one another, and that stuff alone is good for 10 to 12 points a game. And for this group, the way that they share the ball, how unselfish they are. I'm really proud of them. It's not been ideal circumstances all season long, but they've shown the character of who they are. They've been resilient. They've responded to adversity, and they continue to elevate one another. And I couldn't be more proud of this group than I am at this moment.
Availability is a leadership stat. Fans notice stretches where Reese did not travel while injured, and absence invites speculation that erodes goodwill and patience. Showing up matters even in street clothes, because presence stabilizes routines, encourages the bench, and signals accountability during rough patches. When that presence is inconsistent, every missed game feeds a narrative that off-court priorities are louder than the season's grind. Meanwhile, steady travel and visible support from leaders elsewhere hardened their locker rooms against turbulence and made rotation players feel seen. The habit is the message, and the message builds or breaks the room day by day. Because coaches can script schemes, but leaders script tone. And tone dictates whether fatigue becomes excuses or fuel. Availability does not fix turnovers or shot selection, but it anchors trust so the fixes can land. Next, how the narrative ballooned beyond the box score.
Against Reese's missteps, her downfall doesn't just look like bad luck. It looks like the result of her own choices.
What is the back injury? Everybody's questioning it now, and this will be a third straight season where Angel Reese did not finish playing in games, where she just stopped. She just stopped. Some of these injuries, we saw the injuries. We didn't see what happened. What happened? This is bad.
Nothing but a mystery surrounds Angel Reese. Angel Reese has taken this season off to focus on her off-court endeavors and to avoid these losses that the Chicago Sky are accumulating, to avoid them appearing on her resume. Angel Reese doesn't really care about basketball.
Fans and media turned a quote into a season arc. Social feeds clipped the sharpest lines, replayed the technicals, and mapped every turnover into a larger story about timing, tone, and teamwork. Once a narrative loops, teams must either own it and pivot or drown under it, because perception sets the stakes for every post-game presser. Chicago's week became about sentiment graphs rather than shot charts, which is how noise steals wins and patience. Indiana's storyline, by contrast, focused on cohesion and growth around Clark, making each game a proof point of process paying off. Stories sell tickets, but they also sell belief inside the room, and belief shows up in loose balls and late clock poise. That difference widens with each news cycle, because the group that feels aligned plays freer, while the group under constant debate starts playing not to make mistakes. And that is how seasons quietly slip away. Now, the decision tree the sky cannot dodge.
I think it just says a lot about who we have as human beings. That was one of the things that we made a priority in the offseason of, who we bring into this organization. Number one, quality human beings, selfless human beings that want to pull for one another, that understand. We have this depth for a reason, and sometimes it creates challenges getting people on the floor. But in situations like this is why you have it. And I'm just, she's right. I mean, as a pro and as a pro coach, this is one of the most connected groups I've seen.
Now Chicago faces a clean fork in the road. Option 1, repair the relationship. Align public language with private standards and recalibrate usage to protect possessions while adding a veteran stabilizer at guard. Option 2, reshape the core around pace, spacing, and a quieter leadership voice, even if that means moving a headline name to build a more coherent sum. Either path requires clarity about identity in close games, because identity guides signings, play calls, and practice reps. Decide what you want to see on the final 2 minutes timeline, then draft and deal to that picture. The only wrong answer is drift, because drift invites more mixed signals, more anonymous quotes, and more presses about chemistry while the standings harden. Make the choice, own it, and live it daily in rotations, in word choice, and in how you celebrate the small wins that stack into culture. Up next, the offseason will test every word said this week. Your turn. Are you Team Clark, Team Reese, or Team Basketball First Culture? Drop your take below with one move you would make today. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss our next deep dive. From off-season scenarios to trade chess. Click the video on screen for the sequel and keep the conversation going in the comments. Thanks for riding with us.